Hello everyone, this is Jotto, and welcome to Versus Series, where a member of my team, Acebreakers, faces off against a well-known up-and-coming pro player. For this week, we have one of the newer Acebreakers players, Meta, facing off against Grenan from Team Lucky Draw. Now, before we get started, I have a major announcement to make. I am helping to organize a major tournament, a team tournament actually, which is involving Acebreakers, Lucky Draw, Vega Squadron, and Infused. It is called the Gauntlet of Legends, and it is using a completely unique format that no one has ever done before. I'm going to talk about this more, probably in the weekly show or before we actually start broadcasting the events, and it will be on Twitch. But I can guarantee that no one's ever done this one before, because the guy who came up with it is Random Sort, and he is on Vega Squadron. But anyway, without further ado, let's get started. So, on to game number 1, as Meta has brought in the Hunter as his opener, whereas Grenan has Shaman. Now, interesting thing about this particular series, they both banned Warrior. Now, what usually happens is you always ban Warlock, but neither player brought Warlock because, well, you bring Warlock because you know it's going to get banned, and you bring Warlock if the rest of your lineup is solid. You don't bring Warlock if you want to read into your opponent's ban. So there's two strategies there when it comes to ban formats. I personally prefer bringing 4-class. Actually, it depends on the metagame. At the moment, I bring Warlock because I don't like playing Warlock that much. It's a powerful class, don't really like playing it though, and it means that my opponent always bans it, so I can play the class I'm more comfortable with. But in previous formats, I have just refused to bring the best deck, and then your opponent gets really confused. But anyway, opening to this game, this is probably the first turn of contention. Going for the Unbound Elemental versus the Crackle. I can see why you do this. It does help you stabilize. The problem is that you're taking a bunch of extra damage from this Juggler. That's the major problem here. I mean, think about it. He's going to go down to what? 20? Taking 10 damage by turn 3? That's pretty brutal. I mean, Haunted Creeper versus Mad Scientist. I think you play the Mad Scientist. Because then if he goes for a Storm, it's fine. You can get a Freezing Trap and just mess up this Unbound Elemental. Whereas this actually is useless against Storm. He just attacks the 1-2 and then storms. So I think a bit of a mistake there on Meta's perspective. So yeah, Crackle the Juggler, kill the 2-1. But this is pretty awkward in terms of the amount of damage he's taking. Shaman versus Hunter pretty much goes the way that the Shaman is favored if he can stabilize at 10 health or higher. And the Hunter's favorite if he can get the Shaman down to below 10. Now, the Hunter pretty much always gets the Shaman below 10, which is why a lot of Shamans play double anti-Keelbot. There is an anti-Keelbot in Grenan's hand, and we'll have to see when he decides to use that and how effective it's going to be. But 8 health is a lot. Now, using that Hex, I think that was correct to use the Hex. It is going to come back to bite him a bit if there is a high main, because that is one of the only effective ways of dealing with a high main. The next turn, however, is going to be a bit interesting. There's Azure Drake or Shredder. Zombie Chow at the top means that's Zombie Chow Shredder, and then use the Unbound Elemental to kill the 1-1. It's the only one that has a Death Rattle that doesn't mess up the board position. Grizzly Bear, pretty decent. Knife Juggler off the top, that is a really good draw. You can go Knife Juggler, Unleash the Hounds, and then also sack the Haunted Creeper, giving you 5 Knife Juggler triggers. That is a lot. 5 Knife Juggler triggers will completely destroy this board, along with the 3 Hounds. So we're definitely going to see a Knife Juggler juggling some knives. The question is, where are they going to go, and what's the Hounds going to do in the end? Because that's what's really decided where the Hounds are going to go, is how these juggles go. Be kind of amusing if they all hit the face. But if they all hit the face, and these are all going face. That's kind of how it goes. Alright. Okay. 1 on 2 minions. Not the best, but not that bad. I mean, this gives you basically a board clear. There is 2 more juggles of this Haunted Creeper. Hesitating a bit there just to check that wasn't going above board size. Pretty decent juggles, and I would say that's a pretty killable two drop coming out there. Doesn't kill the mad scientist. There is a storm. That's the best possible top deck he could have got there. Toteming first is a mistake here. Should storm attack face with zombie chow and then totem in case it is a explosive. Taunt totem's the best one you could get though, but yeah, it's freezing. There is an explosive in hand, which we know, but he doesn't. I don't know if that's the only explosive in the deck, because I don't check the deck list before I do casting. Helps keep surprise a bit. It's the same with recording the games. Oh, we have an Earth Shock. That's going to be helpful. Earth Shock Crackle. That will kill a high main. With a, well, with or without a Drake, because the Crackle can do 4 most of the time. Animal Companion off the top. Are we gonna see? Wow, Huffer, that's crazy. And then you just play the taunt and then hero power, and that's a really good turn. But yeah, as I was saying, I don't really watch the games that much while spectating them. I kind of spectate and then press record, and then go AFK for 5 to 10 minutes. Keeps me a bit surprised while doing commentary. Means that I'm less mundane. But anyway, top deck Fire Elemental does literally nothing. This is an anti-Keel bot and then Earthshock Crackle turn. And then you can kill the 3/3 with your 4/4, and that is a pretty good turn. That's stabilized almost. Almost, not quite. I mean, there is still a 4 attack Huffer on the board, but 14 is pretty decent life total. And then there's Alec here next turn for taunt. Eagle Horn Bow is pretty brutal here. I mean, it's not kill command, but it's 3 damage to the face. It's not going to deal the full 6 because of the Alakir, but stabilizing on 5 does not feel good, especially with an explosive trap. That's so awkward. You definitely want to attack with the anti-heal bot. That was a mistake. The reason you want to attack the anti-heal bot, I know the logic behind Grenan's move there was because then the Azure Drake dies to explosive. However, if it's freezing trap, you really want your heal bot back. If you bounce that heal bot, you basically win. But Alakir is going to come down here, deal 6 to the face. But I don't think you can win from here. You need some insane top decks next turn, because there's only 2 turns left. Because of the hero power. Mad Scientist doesn't do anything and won't be relevant. I mean, the only ways that Grenan has out of this is either a second anti-kill bot or lethal. Flame Tongue helps. That's 15 damage. He's only 6 off. He's got an Azure Drake. He could go Azure Drake, and then if he top decks Rockbiter Weapon, he actually wins. Wow, 6 off lethal. That, I guess that shows just how much burst damage Shaman has. He dealt 24 damage in 2 turns. But it's not enough. Last card was Feral Spirit, so he's just going to die to the hero power. That really did sum up how this matchup goes. Shaman stabilized at 5 instead of 10, so died to hero power, but anything above that and he would have won. So that's a pretty good example of how that matchup goes. But anyway, on to game number 2. As we do see the Rogue. Rogue is an interesting one to bring in here. Pretty decent opening hand as well for meta. Oh, never mind. That is the most insane opening hand I think I've ever seen. Double backstab, double SI7 going second? Is that... Can you beat that with an aggro deck? Is that even possible? And a fan of knives. I don't think it's possible to beat this. I would say, yeah, Grenan's won this game. And for anyone saying, stop calling it prematurely, there's no way of beating double backstab, double SI7 fan of knives. You can't. He could win with those cards. Well, not quite those cards, but he's so far behind. Explosive, Leok is not fantastic, but that's backstab SI7. You just attack the face, and then go backstab SI7, and then you win. That's disgusting. I don't know what the chances of that hand are. I mean, last game there was Huffer, I guess, but this is making up for it in spades. That's crazy. What do you even play here? I guess you just go Haunted Creeper 2 1-drops and hope for the best, but that's getting fan of knifed. yeah, this game's over. So basically, he plays down his entire hand here, and then the 3/3 SI is just going to attack the Hunter Creeper, and then Phantom Knives. Ooh, a Bomb Lobber. That's interesting. I actually really like Bomb Lobber in tempo decks. And this is a tempo deck. Rogue decks are pretty tempo focused. Because it's a 5 mana investment, but unlike other 5 drops, you play it, it's only a 3/3, but then it kills something, which is a pretty big velocity boost. Now, tempo gain is when you play something to negate another draw, but Bomb Lobber is more of just a velocity continuer. And velocity is sort of winning, velocity is maintaining your tempo. So that's what Bomb Lobber does, because you're adding a slight advantage to the board and then not negating his last play, but maybe killing it along with something else, and you're just improving your board a little bit, or at best, just keeping it going. As you can tell by the fact I'm not really talking about the game anymore, there's not really much to say. Meta's at the point where he literally just plays what he top decks. There's no reason not to. He doesn't play the explosive because there's no point there, but there's nothing to really say. This is just Violet Teacher. Probably, you could go Dagger up and then prep Deadly, or Dagger up, Poison, prep, Flurry, if you really wanted to. But there's just no reason. Bow, and then Explosive, Hero Power, go for the face, hope you can race. That's basically how this goes. Problem with Violet Teacher in this matchup is it does have a habit of completely messing you over when there's Unleash the Hounds, but there's already been an Unleash the Hounds. Not to mention top deck mode. Oh, boom. I think this is a attack the face with Azure Drake, and then boom, prep, flurry. That seems pretty decent. That leaves you with what, 4 1/1s, a 7/7, and a 3/2. Oh, no boom. I think you boom here. Go boom. No boom. No boom. I guess Deadly Poison prep Flurry, but it does a lot. This Flurry is doing 5 damage. Did he miss an attack? Okay. That turn was pretty bad. Oh, so that's why I got a message then. Okay. I got as I said, I don't really pay attention to these games very often. I got a message from Grenan, and I checked it after the game, and he was saying, I missed an attack, my mistake. And I had no idea where that was from. So that was from there. Not really much to talk about in that game. That was a case of Rogue with God Draw. Wow. Wild Growth Innervate? That's sick. Nothing to ramp into. Ooh, there's Ascension. This is a sick opening hand. The Rogue has Backstab SI7 going second as well, so pretty good. Now, I left this menu open for a bit too long, but it doesn't really obstruct anything, so just have to deal with it. Wild Growth into Sen'jin's pretty good. This Big Game Hunter's pretty dead, but then there's a Boom and a Ragnaros. He doesn't know about them, but most tempo decks play Boom, so. Second Innervate does, well, nothing. So that's not that handy. And this Sen'jin is getting killed by the legendary Backstab SI7 agent. So, yeah. This is pretty brutal for the Druid. Zombie Chow. That ramp. Yeah, I think going for the swipe here is fine. Swipe Chow. Try and gain the board position back a bit, because the Chow doesn't really do anything. He's just going to eat it. Or if he has a deadly poison, just eat it that way. He top decks it, but I don't even think you play it. I think you go Drake. Bomb Lobber is okay, but I think Drake is better. In this situation, obviously. That's a pretty control-focused hand. Oh, a Wrath. Alright, now we're in business. Alright, so yeah, you Wrath to draw at this point. You need something to do with your 1,000,001 ramp spells. Let's see what he top decks off this Wrath. Keeper of the Grove. I think you just... I think you hero power. Yeah. You want to save the keeper for a 2 health requirement as opposed to a 1 health requirement. Or even a 3 with hero power, I guess. But this is a really weird situation. The rogue has no good place here, so you just play Earthen Ring, play your 3-3, deal with it. Rogues do use utility 3-3s better than anything else. It is not uncommon to see a 3-3 beat your face in. Oh, wow. Second wild growth? That's horrible. Ugh. I think you play the keeper on the 3-3 and then hero power it? I think you do. I mean, it doesn't feel good, but you do. The problem is that even if you do, the bomb lover is going to come down, so you're in exactly the same position you were last turn. But I think you kill this. I mean, saving the keeper's a bit greedy. I could see the logic behind saving it, but I do think it's a little bit on the greedy side. So, I would definitely, well, not definitely, I would kill this 3-3. But we'll see what he goes with. This big game hunter's the problem with this hand is that there's one card in it that does anything. Nothing else. I mean, at this point, I would consider playing the big game hunter because there's nothing else in your hand that actually does anything. But then he has boom and rag, so you can't even play the big game hunter. I mean, obviously he doesn't know he's got them. More controlling cards. Do you just? I think you fan of Knives the cycle, definitely. See what you draw. At this point, do you play the 3-3? I think you do. I mean, there's nothing... That was basically just a double pass. Oh, finally something to actually play, but unfortunately for Meta and his ridiculously bad luck, there's a sap. I mean, there is some discussion to whether or not you should sap, even if you can kill it. Never mind, there's a second sap. You definitely sap this. Funny thing about sapping is that normally when you sap something, it doesn't come down for 1 or 2 turns because there's 1 extra mana, so there may be something better to do in terms of comboing. In this case, there is absolutely nothing else in the hand that could even be played. Well, there's a keeper, but the keeper doesn't do anything. Oh, a zombie chow. Well, this is a KT zombie chow turn. And that's about it. Now, if you sap this again, I think you just win. But you may want to hold on to this one for the taunt. It's kind of unbelievable how badly Meta drew this game. The opening hand was really good. I mean, there was like a swipe, ascension, some ramp, an innervate for something late game. But then he drew big game hunter, innervate, wild growth, 2 zombie chows. It was just nothing going on. Now this turn's interesting. You either sap the KT or you try and clear everything. You can clear everything. You can go deadly poison, attack it, flurry is actually what I do, so you don't have to sack both 3-3s. So yeah, you attack it, flurry. Sure, you're taking 6, which is painful, but there's no threat of lethal at this point. I mean, you could worry about double combo, but then there's the chow, so it doesn't actually matter. Are you serious? Wow, that is insanely atrocious. Double big game hunter. Oh, we have a stuck mana thing. What is up with that? No, the Sylvanas does not cost 0. There is a excess mana stuck in his hand. That's really weird. Yeah, playing the keeper at this point is fine. Silencing. It never feels good to silence a 3-5, and I think you do. I think I would have innervated hero power there. Loatheb is backbreaking, so you just sap. You could sap Bomb Lobber. Clear the board. I think Lothar may have been slightly better there. But, to be honest, at this point, it does not matter. There's nothing he can draw. Absolute. This could be like Ancient of Lore into Swipe. Oh, there's a Wrath. Alright, Wrath to draw. See what you get. Oh, there's a Swipe. That does absolutely nothing. You know, it's kind of incredible how badly he drew that game. That's absolutely ridiculous. So, all 3 games were decided by insane luck. That is insane. Actually, no, the first game was not decided purely by luck. There was the Huffer, which actually the Huffer let him get 6 damage in. Never mind. So the first game was decided by a Huffer. The second game was decided by one of these stupidly... I think that's strictly the best hand you can possibly get in Tempo Rogue against an aggro deck going second. Turn 2 SI7 with a backstab on turn 1, and then turn 3 backstab SI7. So, game 2... God draw on the Rogue. Game 3, one of the worst Druid draws I think I've ever seen. Those are the kinds of games where you can show that to a person and that will put them off playing ramp. I mean, think about it this way. There are 6 cards in the deck which don't do anything on their own and need to wait for certain situations to arise. Innervate, ramp, ramp in general. There's Innervate, Wild Growth, and then Big Game Hunter are the cards that aren't very proactive on their own. They're all... Innervate and Wild Growth are proactive, but you need things to play. And Big Game Hunter is reactive. When you draw that as your entire hand, along with some Wraths and some Zombie Chows, you're not really going anywhere. Because there was a moment in that game where you literally looked in his hand saying, not playable, not playable, not playable. There was no options. That was one of those games where you could have innervated nothing, and the game would have gone exactly the same way. Just waste the innervates. So it was pretty atrocious. But anyway... Thank you all for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. If you have any feedback, put it in the comment section below. I'll put the deck list that they were playing in the description as usual. But as for now, this has been Jotto, signing off.